Yo, 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 what's good, my slippery slumps? Back at it again today, February 12th. Only a couple more days till Valentine's Day. I hope you're locked in and ready. Today is about time. It is about time that I bring you the story of the second camping trip. Second out of five. This past weekend, me and the homies just scheduled the sixth one for the end of May, I believe, this year. So that's going to be fun. And that got me thinking, it's about time I talk about the second camping trip. Now, the second camping trip was easily the worst one by far. Like, it wasn't even close. This one sucked. This one sucked for many, 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 many reasons. The first one being that we had 7 people in a very small campsite. I believe we had 7 people. We'll get into that later. But the campsite itself was very small. You see, the other sites that we went to, it was usually a walk-in site, and we'd be kind of surrounded by nature, and we would have a lot of room to work with. There'd, be enough room. There'd be some grass, like we'd be in like a grassy patch, or kind of in the woods a little bit. We can spread out a little bit, if that makes sense. Not this one. This one was gravel. This one was a gravel site, which meant that, for one, it would it would be a little bit difficult to stick our tents into the ground because it's gravel. It's like all rock. So for one, that gave us a problem from the start, and for two, the site itself was really small. So we didn't have much room to spread out, and on top of that, we're surrounded by a ton of other people. Like the other sites, we had room. There was a lot of space between the other campers. Not here. We're all kind of just wedged together in just like this dense populated spot. So whoever booked the trip, they just picked a bad site. I'm gonna say straight up, like there was no room to spread out. We were all completely exposed. There was hardly any trees or anything, dude. It was bad. It sucked. So we could see we had neighbors, and so the element of privacy was kind of gone a little bit. So the next reason that this trip sucked so much was because we had 2 new people this time. All right. So do you remember the original 5 from last video? Me, my 2 siblings, and our 2 homies. This time, we brought those folks along with my sister's boyfriend, who I guess is fiance now. Congratulations. So he was cool. He was along for the ride this time. But also, the 7th one was my friend's sister. So she was a big problem. Listen, she's doing better now, is what they say. But that's what they've been saying for a while. A lot of the homies in my friend group have their history with this girl, okay? And I would start to understand after this camping trip why. Now, before we get into why she was such a big problem, I'll explain sort of the events that led up to the first night. A lot of this I don't remember too well. I don't think. On top of that, we weren't next to any trails, I think. We had to walk way down the street to go on any trails, which I think we did. We actually went on some cool trails. The site did have some cool trails from what I remember. But those were far away and not really that accessible. Anyways, we set up the tents. And another reason why this trip sucked is because the first night we set it up wrong. Like, me and my brother and my sister helped set up this. We have this big tent. We've had it since childhood. It's got like 3 segments to it. There's like a main middle room, and then it splits off into 2 ends, for which you can sleep in. So we always bring it. It's a great tent to have. It fits everybody. So we set it up, but we set it up wrong. And we set it up wrong because we didn't attach like this plastic piece to the poles that propped up the roof, that held the roof together correctly. Right? And this would prove to be a devastating mistake. We'll get to that though. So night rolls around, and we start drinking. And the first thing that kind of was wrong with my friend's sister was, okay, I guess I shouldn't put it like that, but we brought this lighter fluid, dude, and like by the second day it was gone because my friend's sister just kept dumping it all into the fire. Just, she'd pour all the lighter fluid on, the fire would erupt for like half a second, and then it would go back down. Now, this sounds like a very nitpicky thing, And it is, dude. It is. There's a lot of small shit she did that just kind of ticked me off, dude. It kind of got me mad. Another thing is she drank like she was such a fiend for alcohol, dude. Like obviously we had 7 people, so obviously we had to prepare accordingly. But goddamn, there was only so much to go around, dude. She kept I don't know why we brought White Claws, the fuck, but she she drank all the White Claws, dude. She drank a ton of them. She drank most of them. It was crazy because I don't even think she like financially contributed to the goddamn to all the supplies that we brought. Crazy work. But anyways, one more thing of like note for I think this was probably the first night. It doesn't matter what night it was, but earlier I said when I mentioned that we were next to a bunch of neighbors. One night we were kind of being loud and we were all drunk and such. And one of our camping neighbors is like a dad in his 40s. He shots over. He's like, "Hey, keep it down. I got kids that are trying to sleep here." And nobody responded, dude. Well, for a big moment, there was a pause and nobody responded. So I was like, "God damn it, y'all are stupid as fucking." And then I just shout back. I just say sorry. And he's just like, "Thank you." And then that was it. I don't know if we kept it down or not, but I don't know. So yeah, we were being some dumb kids. But let me get to the disaster of the first night. So we got a heavy storm on the first night. And like I said, we didn't assemble the roof of the tent correctly, which means in multiple spots it was leaking. A ton of water leaked into the tent. And me and my brother were sharing the tent as we do. I think my friend's sister was also staying in that tent. But it was hell, dude. It was hell. One kind of sus thing that happened during this night while I'm trying to sleep, I'm very drunk. We're all drunk, but more importantly, we're cold as fuck because we're in this tent and everything's getting soaked. Our blankets, our pillows are getting soaked, and there's nothing we can do to fight it except just accept defeat. All right, it's over. But another thing that kind of pissed me off, I guess we're gonna say that made me mad a little bit. I wouldn't say is the sister of my friend decided to choose my older brother to kind of like, I don't know, it was weird, dude. Like she was laying down on one side of the tent and then me and my bro were laying on the other trying to sleep, and then she calls over my older brother who by the way has not any experience with girls hardly, even to this day. He's just too smart for that. Yeah, so they go over and then I don't know. She starts like, the thing about this girl is that she tried to do this with me too. Like at that time, she was just a bad person. Like she was just like a manipulator, that sort of thing. So what she was doing was essentially just trying to win my brother over so that later on she could attempt to use him. Is at least my theory. All right, and I can back this up. So they end up like waking me up at one point for my fucking car keys, and I give it to them, and they go off into the night, and I don't know, nothing happened. So that was just, I don't know, dude, it was just sus. It was just this girl, dude, this girl was just being sus with my bro. And I don't like it because apparently this is what the homies have told me. This is not my opinion, but apparently she's a hoe. Well, was. All right. So the camping trip just sucked. Okay. We had one more day to camp, and my sister and her boyfriend decided to leave a day early. Now this mattered because we had 8 people total. Forgive me for what I said earlier. I was being dumb. We actually had 8 people. We also had the sister of my friend, he also brought his girlfriend. So it was my friend's girlfriend and my friend's sister, and then my other friend who didn't really, I don't know. He's not really mentioned. But the problem was that we had bought 2 cars. My sister and her boyfriend brought their car, and I brought my car. My car only sits 5 people, but we had 6. And the thing is, one of the homies, the homie that had no relations and didn't have a sister, the other one, it's also not my brother. The plan was that he was just going to ride back with my sister and her boyfriend back home, but he didn't want to do that because the vibes, he wanted to stick out with the homies. And so we decided we'd figure it out. And we did. So kind of to wrap it up, So my friend's sister just kind of drank all the alcohol, and then when we ended up leaving, she threw a bunch of shit into the fireplace, like towels. I mean, God damn, I gotta explain these things. So the next day, we ended up going to the store after the storm to get a bunch of towels to wipe up all the water, and then we set up the tent correctly. I'm sorry, but now we just had a bunch of like wet, dirty towels lying around, and so what my friend's sister did was she just threw it all into the fire before we left, just all of it, which you're not supposed to do, and it resulted in a $300 littering fine, which I think she was forced to pay. So that was good. But yeah, we ended up we ended up stuffing all 6 of us into my car. Me driving, my brother in the front seat, so we were comfy, and then the 4 of them just had to share the 3 seats. It was really cramped back there, but they persevered. But yeah, we decided to never go to that campsite again. We also decided to never bring my friend's sister again. We all agreed it was bad. After the camping trip, too. This is what I mean about the manipulator shit, dude. Because after the camping trip, because, you know, me and her, we've all known this girl. She's been a part of, like, the childhood friend group, I guess you could say. Since, like, childhood around, you know? Like, young childhood. So we all knew who she was. Because we've been friends with her brother since childhood. And what I mean by the manipulation is that after this camping trip, dude, she started hitting me up more. She's like, you want to go on drives? She's like... One time she said that she got kicked out of her house and like asked me if I could like come get her and like we could spend some time together. And I was in the city over at my mom's house because my mom lives the city over, and I had school the next day because I was still in high school. And I was like, no. And then she kind of stopped texting me then. But there was a little bit of a phase where like she tried to, you know, she tried to slide into the DMs, I guess, and I was not having any of it because I knew what she was up to, because the homies told me. The homies had my back. But that's not really my business, her history with them. But anyways, bad camping trip. Crazy yap session. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good one.